Good morning. It's drive time with Dave. Oh, there we go. Okay. Good morning again. Can't get the lighting right. Imagine that. I'm in a car worrying about the lighting of my video. So, as usual, I had a lot of great questions. So yesterday I touched a little bit on wholesale distribution, right? And what I didn't go into was the difference between becoming a manufacturer distributor or working with a actual multi-distribution partner. Okay, so pros and cons of each. Manufacturer distributor, typically if you're gonna, and I'll use a coffee maker as an example, right? Because it doesn't matter, because they're all pretty much the same. You get set up with a manufacturer, Mr. Coffee, and you want to be X. Well, first you've got to fall under their MAP pricing, which I talked about a little bit in a previous video. MAP pricing, again, is a manufactured advertised pricing. You cannot deviate from that, or they'll just pull your distribution agreement and that'll be that. Now, you will make a little bit more money as a manufacturer distributor, right? But the downfall is that means you can't go and sell Black & Decker coffee makers. You can't sell, I don't know everybody that makes coffee makers, so you guys get the point, right? That's it. Now, you make less money profit-wise dealing with a multi-channel distributor who has a lot of different products. Okay, I'm back. On the multi-level, the multi-channel distribution companies, your profit will be much less, but you'll have a more diverse product set. And so you just have to think about it from a standpoint of, it's all going to come down to volume. You're still going to be under MAP pricing. So even if you buy something that you're going to get to make, solid 20 points on, well, you're going to be in an arena with 10,000 other people that are all doing the same thing. When you cannot control the pricing to bolster your sales, you're going to get stuck. And you're going to get stuck in an agreement that may not feel so good. It might feel really good when you start. Fix the lighting. It might feel pretty good when you first start, but as time goes on and that stuff's not selling, at light speed, and you can't control it because you can't adjust your pricing, you get stuck. And then you're going to want to go out and you're going to want to get into other products that look like they're moving faster or that there's bigger profit in. And then you find that you got yourself a problem because you're in an agreement that may not be so easy to get out of. So you also have to be careful, because these agreements are binding. When you agree that you're going to be a multi-channel distributor for a 12-month period, you're not going to switch from Mr. Coffee to Black & Decker. You can stop buying coffee makers altogether because you don't want to fool with them, but you're not going to go and switch products, because those people wait for someone to mess up so they can take advantage of their little agreement and say, well, you wasted our time. And wasting a company's time through an agreement, there's going to be a fee, and you're going to have to pay a fee to get out of it, or you're going to pay attorneys to try to deal with something that, well, so just take a step back. There are ways to buy through distributors where you'll make a little less money and you don't sign any agreements and it doesn't matter. But the other side too is some of this stuff you have to buy a lot of up front. So there's plenty of wholesale distribution companies, right? When you want to get into the, let's say, you know, you've been a big wig forever and ever and ever, and you decide that you're done with the corporate life and you're going to go to the house and you're going to start a little company and you're going to go run a little office. Well, bigwig, he knows how to find what's called a jobber. And a jobber is a guy that places products in big box stores. So jobbers are unique, and not many people know or understand what jobbers do and how they do it. All right, so you're just not going to call a jobber up and go, hey, I sure would like to get some of that, because you can sure get it at a great price, but you're going to have a whole bunch of money, not just 10 or 20 or $100,000. You're going to be in a position where you've got to go have $1 million line of credit, and you're going to be in a position where you're going to go from 0 sales to $1 million a month to even get one of those guys to look at you. They're the kind of guys that you could say, hey, I want to get 4,000 or 5,000 of these brand new Asus laptops that Best Buy keeps advertising. And these guys will be like, all right, no problem. I can give you 10,000 of them. Well, at any price, that again is a whole bunch of money. So anytime you get into this the bigger level of distribution, when you move into a point where you want to be a big player, it just takes big money. So when it comes to the difference in the manufacturer, distributor, and a multi-channel distributor, you make less money, more diverse products. Make sure the product set will fit you. This again, it goes back to research. When you look at anybody, it doesn't matter who the manufacturer is or the distributor is. It doesn't matter when you walk in a thrift store or a pawn shop. You still have to know what you're looking at, because it's going to take research, right? So I'm not the guy that is showing X. I'll talk about video games, but I'm not talking about, well, you know, you should go try to buy, 2015 Madden NFL, because if you find it, you can sell it for $22. So that's not what I do. All right. All I can do is say, you can go make a deal. You can buy every video game in front of you. That's how you're going to make money, right? I love talking about pawn shops, because even though there are a few people that watch my videos and they say, well, the pawn shops out here are difficult, or they don't want to budge. Well, maybe they don't. Maybe they don't the first time you go in. Maybe they don't the second time you go in. Maybe they don't the third time you go in. Maybe they won't ever. I've never had that experience. Well, I have. One out of 100 pawn shops is always a problem. But when I can go to, so the difference in the mom and pop pawn shops and corporate pawn shops is when I go in and the manager just keeps saying no. He just says, no, we're not going to, we know what it's worth. Okay, all right. So I call that pawn shop's corporate office and I find out who's the district manager over pawn shop on ABC Road. Well, that turns out to be, Joe the plumber, district manager. All right, so I go to another pawn shop that's in his district and I start getting no's slung around again. Before I call, I want to verify that they've got some policy that says they're not budging. All right, so now I'm pretty sure they're not going to budge. So now I call Joe and I go, hey, Joe, what I'm interested in is everything at 90 days. I want it all. Well, Dave, you know, I'm over 80 stores. I'm like, he can't see my face on the other side of his phone, and I'm like this. I'm like, 80 stores. Holy. Well, okay, Joe. Well, I mean, you know, what is that? I mean, couple thousand games. What's that? And he goes, okay. So every 90 days, you wanna get with me? Yeah, man. Yeah. I'll give you a call. Yeah, no problem. Yeah, I hang up the phone. I'm like, holy crap. I just made a deal to get BAM. Right? A couple thousand games every 90 days coming out of 80 stores. You kidding me? Well, so I called Joe and I'm like, hey, Joe, it's Dave. And, hey, so where are we at? You know, I just talked to you last week. Oh, yeah, no problem. I got, it was a lot more than I thought. Oh, yeah? What are you talking about? How many? You know? Oh, we got about 5,000. Okay. Yeah. No problem, man. So you're gonna get them all at one location for me? You want me to supply my shipping account number? You need me to? I can send boxes to all of your store locations with pre-addressed shipping address label on it, so everybody can just put those games in and they can just send them back to me. We'll make this nice and easy. You're sure it's 5,000? How do you want me to pay? Do you need me to break the payment down to each store, or do you want me to send it to your corporate location? Because yeah. You'll make your payment out here. Let me give you the wiring instructions. You're gonna just wire me over a flat 5,000, and we'll get everything taken care of. And he goes, and I'm gonna take you up on that offer next time, so you can just give everybody Absolutely, I'll supply you boxes. Well, listen, Joe, let's get this done, and I'll call you back in a couple days and follow up. So over comes the email. I wire him the money, and then in the next 2 to 3 weeks, 5,000 video games show up. So the difference again is being prepared for the answer. That it's never what it starts out to be. And if you take a step back at that moment, that's when, you know, it's that you get one shot. Well, that's what happens. That's what you have to be prepared for. So everybody's like, well, 20 games at the time. I know when pawn shops are difficult. Now, if you live in an area and there's only mom and pop pawn shops, what you need to do is say, well, hey man, what are you turning away? Because they're always turning stuff away. There's always something that they're turning away that they do. Well, because we don't sell online, we don't have a market for it. Okay, well, that might be your key. Again, because they don't all sell online. Very few do. So, keeping all that in mind, you can look to buy, right now, because I'm stuck on the pawn shop thing, because it's, it's like the topic of conversation every day with everybody. Camera equipment, lenses, camera bodies, right? You can, and then on that topic, you can go out and you can find companies that are making accessories for cameras. Camera accessories sell as good as cell phone accessories do, right? So you find a company in China that sells their version of camera batteries, their version of camera cases, their version of whatever it is, whatever you're interested in, whatever you think you can deal with. And then you contact 10 or 15 of those people. You ask for samples. You do all this on Alibaba. I mean, we know that, right? So you can ask for samples. You bring it all in. And this process takes a good couple of months to get your samples in, figure out what's quality, what's not, what's gonna, what may make sense. You go on Amazon's brand registry. This is just a quick summary, because I'll get a few questions, and you register your brand. Come up with your brand. You're going to call it, I love cameras. I mean, you can call your brand anything. Love cameras, camera love, you know, I love cameras. Whatever it is that suits you, whatever you think will be catchy. Talk to everybody, mix it up, you know, go to some of your friends, ask them, you know, their opinions. They're going to think you're crazy. They're not going to understand what you're talking about. Nothing's going to make any sense to anybody except you. You can call it 4x4 camera accessories. It doesn't matter. Whatever it is that you want to call it. Fill out your brand registry, right? Then you go back to your new supplier and you say, "Hi there," you know, as you translate it into Chinese. No, I'm just kidding. You don't have to translate anything into Chinese. They'll translate it for you. Don't worry when you send them the email. You tell them that you want to know how much it's going to cost to have your packaging made by them. And you let them know, I don't want Chinese writing or lettering, and I don't want Chinese logos, and I don't want anything. You might come up with your little 4x4 logo. I'm just using that example. Little pickup truck on it. I don't know. Whatever it is that you want to put on there. Then you send them that, and it'll cost you pennies per item to have your logo placed on the item, and the packaging to have your logo on it. And that's very important. The reason that's very important is so when you get the stuff in and you create your listings on Amazon. I have this really terrible line right across my face. When you get this stuff in from Amazon, you create your listing, and other people are gonna try to get on your listings, right? Because that product is X, available to anybody, but it's not available to anybody. It's only available to you because it has your logo on it, and you registered that trademark, right? And so then you will spend some time issuing takedown notices as other people try to jump on your products. But that's the beginning of how to create your own brand and sell it on Amazon. And then you get one of those multi-channel softwares like Sellbrite, maybe that's what it's called. The reason I don't really know, because I've not used that one, because it really is for eBay and Amazon only. The software that we use goes out to every marketplace. So there's different softwares anyway. So Sellbrite, and then you can, once you got your Amazon listings up, this nice little piece of software grabs Amazon's listing and does a really good job of converting it into an eBay listing. And then your products are up, and as soon as one or the other sells, you know, it just reduces your inventory across both. So you're not going to oversell. Now, the really nice thing is that's an FBA product. So you can just send it all into Amazon. You might want to hold back, 50 of them for you to self-ship against eBay. Now, you can, and this, I don't know if it's a good idea or not. I've been in a pinch a few times at the office. Well, I've not, but people in the office, we get into a pinch because somebody didn't order correctly. And you can go on, you can take the order information that comes from eBay and put it in Amazon, and they'll ship it. Now, I'm not going to tell you it's not a little more expensive, because it costs a little bit extra, but it's minuscule in the grand scheme of things. 50, 75 cents, something like that. It doesn't amount to much, but it's still there, and it's still realistic. So, yes, it can be done. So, I'll give a little insight over and over into all these different avenues, whether you want to be a manufacturer, distributor, whether you're going to be a multi-channel, work with a multi-channel distributor, and whether you're going to try to do it yourself with a product that you create. There's pros and cons to all of it, and I kind of expanded on all of it. So anyway, so that's it. One more time, this was Drive Time in the Morning with Dave. And I'll be doing an afternoon update. Thanks for watching.